morning, Amphinauts and DPV enthusiasts. Welcome to our Whiteboard Mondays, and today we'll be talking about fins. My name is Marek. I'm with Amphi Americas, and I'll be explaining how does a fin work. You probably remember when you were a kid and you played with wind in your hands. Say you sticked out your hand when your parents were driving 60 miles per hour, and you kind of try to feel the wind, feel how the wind pushes your hand up and down, back and forth. You probably remember there when you put your hand like this, the force pushes it back. When you align it with wind like this, almost nothing happens. Gently, there's some pushback, but very little. But when you put your hand just like that, very interesting things start to happen. First of all, the hand wants to go up, even though it's not really, there's no apparent force which would push it up, right? So you feel that your hand is trying to go up and a little bit back. Yeah? So those two forces in aviation or aerodynamics are called a lift and a drag. Now, the principle which causes this is exactly the same principle which makes a regular wing fly. So I brought this prop. It's an airplane, pretty nice one. And as you can see, it has a wing. It actually has two wings, one here and one there. We're gonna use this big wing and use it to explain certain things. So when you cut this thing in half, you're gonna see a profile here, yeah? This profile is what we're gonna use to explain how does a wing work, and then we're gonna use the same profile to explain how our fins work. So effectively, a wing and a fin, or a fin like this, yeah, all those things are basically the same device. It's called sometimes a foil, airfoil or hydrofoil, but they use the same physics to produce lift in the case of a wing and thrust in the case of a fin. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so what we have here, let's start from the right hand side, is a wing. This is exactly the profile I showed you before, and this vector v is the airspeed. This is how the air hits the wing. You see that this wing is not parallel to this vector, is actually at a certain angle. We call this angle the angle of attack. It's an angle between so-called chord, which is a line which connects the trailing edge and the leading edge of this foil. So we see this line and this vector. So again, this angle is called angle of attack. Very important thing. So as this air hits this foil deflects and changes the direction of this airflow. Yeah? As it changes this direction, it changes the energy of the air. This energy needs to go somewhere. And it is accumulated as a pressure underneath this foil. You see this region here is a positive pressure, positive in comparison to this side. As you remember from basic physics, the area times pressure produces force. Yeah? So we have this force F here, which is equal area times pressure. This pushes this wing this way. But we can decompose this vector into a vector which is going perpendicularly up, and the vector which is opposing this movement forward, which is called a drag. So we have a lift and a drag. So this is basically how any wing works. On the other side here, we have a little bit more complex situation. As you can see, we have a foot here. This is our swimmer's foot. And we have our foil, our wing actually behind the leg. So this wing here is connected to this leg like this, right? So the leg moves down and pulls the wing with this kick. Yeah? We have a velocity of kick here, which is called Vk, and this velocity here will be the minus Vk will be actually the velocity at which the water hits the leading edge of this foil. Of course, the swimmer is moving forward, so we will have water coming from this direction. It will be another velocity vector which needs to be added to this vector minus Vk, the velocity of the kick. When you add those two vectors, you're going to end up with this vector v, which is exactly the same vector we have here, right? So this vector attacks our foil and creates again the same positive pressure on this side of the foil. This in return creates a perpendicular force this way, which can be decomposed to one vector which is pushing the swimmer this way and one vector which is opposing the kick, which is a resistance to this kick. So basically we flying a wing behind our feet, and this motion up and down creates very similar conditions to what we have here with a regular wing. I wanted to point out a couple of points here. First of all, you see that this angle of attack here depends on the velocity of the swimmer and velocity of the kick. So two factors. While here, it only depends on the position of the wing and the velocity of the airplane. Why it's important? Well, for symmetric foils, and fins are pretty much symmetric, so they don't have this side is a mirror image of this side. So for symmetric foils, the relationship between thrust and angle of attack, so this vector and this angle, looks like this. So what it means is it gets to its maximum at around 20 degrees. Yeah? So what it means is that if we increase the velocity of our swim, this angle is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it will go to negative values. So we will lose thrust as we go this way. Yeah? So this is important to remember, that in swimming or fin swimming, we have to remember how fast we kick, or we have to adjust and find an optimal relationship between the speed of our kick and the speed of our swim. In general terms, the faster you swim, the faster your kick needs to be in order to stay at this level. Thank you very much. If you liked this video, please subscribe. Visit us on Facebook, visit our website, and see you next Monday. Bye.